What is going on, everybody? And yes, we are finally back with another binder update. Let's jump right in. Welcome back, everybody, to the collection update series. It is an absolute pleasure to be back here updating you on some of the amazing new cards we are adding to our collection binder today. Now, before we jump in, I know it has been like 3 or 4 weeks since we've done a binder update. A lot of that was due to Double Masters coming out, which I knew I wanted to get a box opening up for, but also we just haven't been picking up as many cards. That's mostly down to I've just been busy with other stuff, and so unfortunately, it took me a little while to get some cards in, but fear not, because as we do have 12 new cards for today, we should be set for the next couple weeks as well, and I'm really excited to show you what we have been picking up. Now, normally at this point, I would highlight a comment and say, wow, this person collected some amazing cards, and I would love to, but we haven't done it for a couple weeks. And so I'm actually going to skip that this time around. Instead, I'm going to encourage you guys, comment down below. Let me know which cards you've been picking up recently, whether it be for a collection binder, maybe a deck that you're building, whatever it might be. Just let us know in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to share your comments in the next video, and hopefully we can collect and have some fun together. Now, without further ado, we are going to go right into our 12 cards that we have picked up today, including some very interesting ones. We'll talk about those as we go through. Alright guys, and here we are with our very first card, which is Mystic Confluence. This is the time-shifted version from the new Time Spiral Remastered set. I absolutely love these retro frames. So, when this one popped up, I was like, man, I have to have this. Unfortunately, I didn't actually open one in any of our Time Spiral Remastered packs, and so this was actually just a really nice pickup for that, because, again, this is a really powerful card. I love this one for Cube. Very versatile. I think that's one of the things, particularly in like a cube or a limited format, that you really need to think about is how can you add more flexibility without adding extra cards to the cube, because if you can get multiple effects in one, that really ups the value of that card in the cube. Mystic Confluence, a prime example of that. Really a fantastic little card. It does so much for you, especially in those blue decks. A little late game for sure, but definitely worthwhile. Now, moving on, we have Treasure Mage. Now, I'll be honest, this card I don't think has a lot of value. It's not like a crazy one or anything. Sorry for the autofocus there, but it looks really cool. That's kind of the only reason I got it. I really just like this card. I think it's a really fascinating piece of artwork here. That beautiful centering on the frame, or on the artwork in the frame, is really just absolutely stunning. And I love that it is, of course, a promo. I love these promos. You'll see a lot of them in this pickup in particular, because we just have so many that kind of popped up, and I was like, man, I gotta have that. While they don't necessarily hold a ton of value, it is kind of nice to add these because they're unique. And I think that's part of what collecting is to me, is just finding those unique cards. Doesn't always have to be the most spectacular card or anything like that. I think a lot of times it's more about the uniqueness of it. Let's see, one thing really quick. Let's see if we can manually focus here, because, yeah, there we go. That's a little better. All right, next up, we have another little promo here, the DCI promo of Cabal Therapy. Now, Cabal Therapy is actually a really phenomenal card. If you don't know, it's usually played in more Eternal formats, of course, like Legacy. Great way to pick apart the opponent's hand, and that sacrifice flashback ability, you can sacrifice a creature to flash this back, is not quite as impactful maybe in a negative way as you might think. Especially if you're running a deck with something like Bloodghast, which a lot of these decks do. You just play a land, you get the creature back. So it's kind of a freebie way to deal with a lot of things in the opponent's hand. And you'll oftentimes see somebody cast this for the 1 mana just to look at the opponent's hand, maybe get a lucky guess, but then actually just replay it in the same turn because it's so easy to do so. This is obviously, like I said, the promo version, so we do get the beautiful foiling here. I do have a case on these, so I apologize. It's probably not quite as noticeable, but just a really nice card. I do love Cabal Therapy in general, and so really happy to add this to the collection. Next up, you might recognize this card from Tolarian Community College. This is the animation card that he uses. It's Cruel Tutor. It's a really interesting card. I actually didn't, this popped up and I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a cool card. I never knew what this card did. I did know it was a tutor, but I didn't know the cost. I didn't know anything about it. It's from Portal. Little sorcery that allows you to pull any card from your deck if you would like to, and I really like that. It's nothing too spectacular, obviously. It's not like it's a crazy powerful demonic tutor or vampiric tutor, but it is actually quite nice. And again, it's another tutor effect for something like cube. If you find yourself trying to do a combo cube, having tutors in a cube like that is actually really important because you need to be able to find the combo pieces. Otherwise, nobody's going to have fun playing the cube. You need to have ways to deal with it as well, but enabling the strategies is really important. And so finding cards like this every once in a while are just really fun. It's great to know that in the community it also has some meaning, so it's kind of fun for that as well. Next up, we got a little interesting card, Goblin General. Funny enough, didn't really think I wanted this card, and then it popped up and I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? Let's have some fun with goblins. So this is a cool one. This enables a little bit more of a power play in the goblins deck, which says whenever it attacks all your other goblins, or excuse me, all your goblins get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. I believe this is also Portal, like the second Portal set, maybe, I'm not sure, but truthfully, it's just a really interesting card. It's a powerhouse for goblins, honestly. For 3 mana, that's pretty good. Now, it is just a 1/1 itself, very easy to kill, but I think if I ever made a goblins deck, I would like to include the general just because it seems really good for that. So I kind of just picked it up for that reason. I didn't really have another outlet for this one. It was just kind of a funny card, and I like it. So here we are. Now, we spoke with Cabal Therapy on graveyard-focused decks, and that's where Goblin Lore actually comes in as well. This says draw 4 cards, then discard 3 cards at random from your hand. This is a card that is really, really powerful in a lot of graveyard strategies. You get to draw a lot of cards, discard a lot of cards. If you're playing something like Dredge or Hollow One or Hollow Vine, whatever strategy you might be playing, especially on kitchen table decks, like this is a prime card for that deck. And it's very, very powerful for that reason because it doesn't actually matter what cards you discard for the most part. And so this was actually a card I picked up mostly to play in a deck, but I wanted to include it in the binder, of course, first. And so I really love this card. I think it's a really powerful card, and from the starter 1999 set, I believe. Really, really fun one, and a very powerful 2-mana sorcery. I mean, think about that. 2 mana, you're drawing 4 cards. I get you have to discard, but if you take away the negative side of discarding, this becomes really good. Next up, we have a revised, I believe, version of Birds of Paradise. Obviously, a really classic card for a lot of reasons. Hopefully this is manually focused. We'll see. We'll fix that for the next one. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I had to move my cameras around. Birds of Paradise, though, obviously a classic card. If you've never heard of the phrase Bolt the Bird, obviously the idea is you want to kill this as quickly as you can. And for obvious reasons, this is a huge, huge ramp. Turn 1 ramp spell for really any green deck, but it also not just ramps you, color fixes you because it can add any color. It's also a flyer, which in a deck with things like Noble Hierarch or some other exalted things actually makes a huge difference. So there's a lot of upside to the Birds of Paradise card. I actually never had this artwork before. There's a couple of different versions with this artwork, but I never actually had picked up one of these. I've got tons of other versions, but I didn't have this. And so I actually was really excited when this popped up because I do really love this artwork. Again, that classic kind of iconic piece was just something that I really wanted to show off. And so I'm very happy we got to see this. I think it's a fantastic little card. Continuing the promo theme, we have Elvish Visionary, the beautiful, beautiful FNM promo version. This is a stunning card, in my opinion. Elvish Visionary, fantastic card for the deck. There's a lot of little mini combos you can do where you get to draw quite a number of cards off of them. But on top of that, it is just a nice little elf to draw a card off of. So it replaces itself in your hand. Card draw, if you don't know, in the elf deck is very much at a premium. You want to be able to draw cards. This in tandem with things like Glimpse of Nature give you a lot of draw card ability in a deck that generally suffers from that kind of thing. And so really a crucial piece to the deck in general. Now, having this artwork is just honestly a step above. I think this artwork is absolutely amazing. I really love it. That was really the only thing I had behind this one. I just think it's a really awesome card. And I do have an elf deck. Caitlin loves to play the elf deck. And so I might pick up a couple extra of these and throw them in there just because, again, they're really, really powerful. They're great for the deck. All right, our next one is Nissa. I believe the original Nissa, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but I believe that is the case. Nissa is one of those planeswalkers that I've played a handful of her cards, different, standard environments, even in Modern and Cube and things like that, but I never had this one. This one probably isn't all that great, to be honest. The ultimate is amazing. Let me be very clear. You just get to search your deck for all the elves and put them onto the field, which is stupid. But generally, obviously, that's not something you get to do in a lot of like true like modern formats, anything like that. Now, if you're in Commander, 100% a different story. I would imagine this is quite a good card for a Commander elf deck, like an Azuri deck or something. Regardless, I love this card. I think the artwork is beautiful. It represents a lot of Planeswalker history because this was in the early days, obviously, of Planeswalkers. And so there's a little bit more of a historical relevance to this card than I would say a lot of the other Planeswalkers that we picked up, which are the new borderless, things like that. And so this was really a special piece to be able to pick up for me. Never actually owned this Nissa, funny enough. And so this is really just a really cool piece of the historical map of Magic as a whole. Really love that for this card. It's just awesome. All right, back to combos. We have Oath of Druids. This is the original Exodus version. Has been printed in a couple of Commander products, if I'm not mistaken, since then, but I do love the old school frame, so I had to pick this version up. I actually do own, I think, 2 of these already, but the Oath of Druids deck is one that I am quite fond of. If you don't know how it works, the idea is you play Oath of Druids using a land like Forbidden Orchard, which gives your opponent a 1/1 creature, and then at the start of your next turn, because they have a creature and you do not, you just get to search your deck basically for a creature and put it onto the field. Now, if that creature happens to be a 15/15 Emrakul, chances are you're going to win the game on the spot. And so it's a pretty useful little combo in that regard. It's a great piece. Definitely something I love to include in my cubes as well, because you can certainly build around it a little. It's difficult, but you can certainly do it. And so for that reason, for the combo potential, for the use in cube, I knew I wanted to pick it up. And honestly, I'd just love to complete my playset. That's kind of my long-term goal. So if I do ever want to build the deck later on down the road, I certainly can. But beautiful card, really powerful card, and a great include for many, many different scenarios. Our next to last card is a promo Electrolyze. So funny enough, I really love Electrolyze just as a card. I think it's a fantastic little control piece, gives you a little bit of burn, some draw card. It's really good in like Jeskai control or something like that, just to be able to, you know, ping a couple things for damage if you need to. But really, I didn't know that this version existed. I know a lot of cards. I don't know all the cards, obviously, but I do know quite a number of cards. Electrolyze in this state, I didn't know existed. And so I was really happy when this popped up, because I was so stoked to first of all, just realize that it existed, but 2, to pick it up. It's a beautiful, stunning card. Really, really love that. The artwork for Electrolyze is one of my favorites. I love the blue and that red-orange lightning kind of coming through. I think it's a beautiful piece. It balances so well in the artwork. And so for me, this was just an easy pickup. Again, not super valuable, but sometimes collecting isn't about getting the most valuable card. You know what I mean? I think that gets misconstrued maybe a little bit. And so I was really happy to see this. I was just so stoked to pick it up. I absolutely love this card. But we do come to our last card, which is a very interesting one, potentially a controversial one. This is our very first gold bordered card of the binder. Excuse me. Whew. If you don't know, the gold bordered cards were tournament decks. So what used to happen is the World Championship deck would get turned into a reprinted its own product with gold border, and it actually does, I believe they usually have the player's signature somewhere on the card. This one may not. I believe usually they did. What was interesting about this, or what is interesting about this, is it ignored a lot of like reserve lists, that kind of stuff, obviously. And so you could get really powerful cards for relatively cheap if you were to use them for casual play or for cube or whatever it might be. Worth noting, these are not tournament legal. A gold bordered card is certainly not legal in a pro tournament or anything like that. Don't even try. But it's a great way to pick up a card like City of Traders, which is a hugely expensive card because it is so powerful, for really not that much. In the grand scheme of things, obviously it's a more expensive card than a lot of the things that we have seen, but it's still not like massive expensive. It's a really powerful card. I've never owned City of Traders in any capacity. And so I found this. It actually did pop up randomly. That's, again, how most of these cards are actually chosen. And I was like, I kind of want to get a gold bordered card. I haven't owned one in quite a while. This is the only one at the moment. And so I don't know. I was kind of stoked to see this. I'm curious what your thoughts on the gold bordered stuff is. That was something that I kind of wanted to open up to the greater community, see where people found these, if they like picking these up, if they don't like picking them up, if we should bring them back. They don't do this anymore. So is that something we should do? Just kind of curious what your thoughts are there. I'd be really interested to know. But that rounds out our 12 cards this week, guys. So let's jump into the wrap up. All right, guys, so that is our next page done in the binder, actually. We're getting pretty close to the halfway mark. We'll have that completion as well as the value of the binder up on the screen, so I'm really excited to see where we are at, because at the moment, I don't know. But we do certainly have some amazing powerhouse cards in the binder. I'm excited for the day when we get to go back through the binder, look at all these cards in one final video, and see where we landed. I think that's going to be a really special thing. So all that being said, guys, remember, comment down below. Let me know what cards you were picking up this week. Let me know what cards you've collected for decks, for binders, whatever it might be. Would absolutely love to see what you guys are collecting. Also, just want to mention, give me where you pick those cards up. If it's your local game store, let's highlight them a little bit. Let's have some fun with it. Even if it is online, Card Kingdom, TCG Player, wherever it might be, let us know. We really should be able to thank those kinds of places. A lot of mine come from TCG Player, I'll just go ahead and say. But I've got some ideas in the future that I want to highlight some people. And so I think if you guys start with that, we'll have some fun with it. So thank you again, guys. I really do appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoy it. Happy collecting.